Paper one.
Are you ready, Russell? Okay. Good evening to the January 27th school board, joint school district 171 school board meeting. Carmen?
Roll call. Trustee St. Germain.
Here.
Trustee Craig.
Here.
Trustee Daniels.
Here.
Trustee Kepke.
Here.
Trustee McIntosh.
Here. Awesome. Please rise and join me for the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks to all that serve. Yeah, approval of the agenda, and I'll make note that we did have an amendment on item 5. Can we get a motion?
The amendments for the date?
Yes.
Correct. Okay, I'll make the motion that we approve the agenda as presented with the amendment November 18th to December 16th for the regular board meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you. We get a motion related to the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the December 16th regular board meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. In accordance with policy 1200, we need to do a reorganization of the Board of Trustees. Do we have a nomination for chair to serve during the upcoming year?
I'd like to nominate you again if you're okay with it.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All right. So election of chair action item. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, here we go again. Thank you for your confidence. I appreciate that.
Thanks for keeping it going.
Okay, nominations for a vice chair to serve during the 2025 year.
I'll make a motion to nominate Brian Craig as vice chair.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Ryan, willing? Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Can we get a motion and to appoint the clerk?
I'll make a motion to appoint Carmen Griffin again.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Good with that? Perfect.
Awesome. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you very much. And if we could get a motion for elect appointment of our treasurer for 2025.
Who do we currently have? Is it
Brittany.
Brittany? I'll make a motion to appoint Brittany Getz as treasurer for the upcoming year.
I'll definitely second that.
Any discussion? You're not leaving us, are you?
Still good?
Right on.
Perfect.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Okay. We need to review and sign the code of ethics. We don't have any new members. Didn't you just sign a couple months ago? Yeah, so we should be good there. Okay, moving on. Establishing the signatories. No change in positions. We should be good there. Okay.
Still, it's an action item.
Yep. Yeah. So do we need a motion to accept the existing?
Yes.
You do.
Okay.
Could I get a motion to accept the existing signatories?
I'll make a motion that we accept the existing signatories as current.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Farah, that's the
good?
right way to do that? Okay.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. The next item is establish agenda and notice posting locations. Do we feel there's a need to add, change, remove? I guess,
Was this where we were talking about maybe changing the flow, or was that?
no, this is where they're posted.
Oh, just where
Just
they're
the
posted?
postings.
Oh, yeah.
So currently it's both post offices, the district office, and what am I missing?
Library
Online.
No
up
libraries,
in, not the one up in Pierce.
both post
Yeah.
offices. District office, and then lots of online, so it's skyward to everybody. The newspaper,
Yep.
which the newspaper, the way we've been doing it, is a full ad, and it's
Right.
very expensive. That can be modified to just do,
A link.
or, the date and time and location. Instead of the whole, right now they're publishing the agenda.
Maybe just post the meeting location and put for agenda details C and put our website or something.
What's the expense?
Should we have a motion on board before you discuss?
Oh, we should have a motion.
That's true. Thanks.
Oh,
So I think if we had a motion,
No,
no,
it's set under
it's an action item
Yeah.
discussion and action, looks like, I don't know.
because don't you love the new discuss
Kind
act?
of.
I love it. Yeah.
It's a little,
But on this one, we should probably
Do an action.
have the motion and then we can do a discussion. If we need to amend the
Okay.
motion, we can do so.
So I'll make a motion to keep it as the past. Establish agenda, notice posting locations as previously done.
Okay.
And then if we
Need a
want,
second to that.
yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, now we can have discussion.
yeah, do we want to shorten the paper to save some money? Do we want to? Is that
Yeah,
our biggest
How
expense?
much is it a month?
Yeah, what's the,
Is it like
Expense
$80,
on that.
$90 or something?
really?
Oh, and you okay, so you put that in too.
I mean, you could refer to the website or refer them to the district
The
office.
office, yeah.
For those people that don't do online.
Are we gonna get more
Mhm.
people coming to the district
Yeah.
office because it's not in the
I
paper?
don't know how many
But-
people.
So we could say, how about this? So the meeting date, the location, and then options for additional details would be at the location, post offices or online.
I'm just thinking the people that get the paper probably aren't the online people. Some do both, but
Yeah, I mean. we
most
don't
of the
wanna,
people,
like,
yeah.
Bombard Brittany with people calling.
That's why I'm
for
saying
it,
maybe
but-
not the district office, but the post
Okay.
office, because
That's
it is
true.
posted at the post office. At the
That's a good
same
point.
time, it would be published.
It's $1,200.
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I think
That's a
it's-
combined.
I think
Right,
it-
Two
and that's
different
with
ads,
our
two different
job
ads.
apps too, so.
I would say at this point, let's just keep it in the paper. That's not.
And if our funding goes away, we can revisit the conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Sound good?
yeah, I
Yeah,
say
let's
leave it
leave it alone.
as,
yeah, leave it as is.
as we've been doing it for now.
Support our local paper,
Yeah,
I like it.
okay?
get a lot of
Alright.
people that like the
Yeah, a
paper.
lot of guys that
Oh,
don't want to do online.
Some people may receive the paper at home in
And not
the
even have to
mail
go
and not
anywhere.
go to the post
That's true.
office to, if they're kind of homebound or
Mhm.
whatever, so.
Yep.
Okay.
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 The motion in the second was to keep the agenda notice posting locations the same. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving into the consent agenda. Any motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Go ahead.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
That looks good.
Everything, yeah.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Okay, reports and recognitions. I noted a couple of call outs personally. Carmen and Russell on the technology grant for food services. That is really cool. And then also I wanted to make mention of this, the SPED program, Cody, receiving honors from the feds. That's really cool. And also to make sure that we acknowledge the folks that helped. And I'll have to pull up the list to.
But were they ranked 5 of 50? Is that what it was? So,
Yeah.
good job.
I died. Do you have the list? The link? And anybody,
Of which ones?
the Cody's report,
Yeah.
there were a number of people identified
Oh,
to
yeah.
call out that
Yeah, we can grab it.
went above and beyond to help the process. I think that's important.
He listed, looks like most of the employees in the district.
Oh, did he? Everybody?
Lindsay, Denise is here,
Okay.
Rebecca's here. Good
Everybody
job.
helped.
It'd be quicker to just name those that weren't.
Corey,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
the ones that are here at least.
So, yeah, so I just want to acknowledge that the team pulled together and worked really well.
Absolutely.
Pretty
I
awesome.
think that's important.
So as you can see, you know, it's the principals, the counselors, some head teachers. I'm just trying to see if
Brittany,
there's any.
Farah.
Yes,
272 documents for review. That's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
quite the team effort.
Yeah, to be in the top percentile like that for a rural program like we are is small but mighty, right? That's cool. Thank you. Anybody see any other call outs?
Luis Allen, an amazing science teacher who works to make things fun for students while maintaining a high level of in her classes. She has high expectations for students, but designs hands-on activities. That's pretty awesome. And taking dual credit forestry and fishery, allowing students an opportunity to even more be ready for those careers. Luckily to have her. And then Nikki Stevenson, a strong paraprofessional who works not only with one-on-one students, but is an essential part of the special education team. She's proactive and lucky to have Nikki too.
Timberline, Gretchen Garrett and Sam Collinsworth did I say that right? Collinsworth did the Passion Day. I actually participated in that, but I think they had 14 different groups, the public that came to facilitate the Passion Day. So that's quite an undertaking.
Awesome. Okay.
Then OES had a special shout out to Charlotte Inborg, the K2 special education teacher, for her dedication, exceptional support of her students. Want to give her a shout out.
And we certainly want to celebrate all those that were celebrated as thriving in one way or another.
There's a ton,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is good. Just
it is
good that we got that
telling
recognition.
our
Well
story.
done. Absolutely.
And then I think the last one that I saw was Cavendish. Thank you to both Mr. Bob and Mrs. Olson.
Yeah.
Both long-term volunteers here at Cavendish. Could not have the success that I do without them. And Mr. Hunter and Roy for looking for solutions for plumbing and remodeling bathrooms.
And I like Mr. Hunter's video. Was that part of your podcast
Yeah.
equipment you got? So
Yeah,
that was
Russ and I
good.
are working on that.
It was a good change though, instead of just reading,
Yeah.
but a listen.
Not my comfort zone, but
It's
it's
good.
necessary. Hopefully we'll get better. I hope to interview other people so that it's gonna be there.
There you go. Okay. All right. Moving on to committee reports. Any questions for any of the reports we received?
No.
I
Any,
did.
any idea on how we're doing with bus drivers?
That's where I was gonna go. Transportation.
We still, we could use 3 easily. So we have a new ad out again, trying to just promote that. We've been hiring drivers, but we've still lost a couple and we have those large, routes that have been consolidated that really need to be deconsolidated. So we could use 3 more drivers probably.
And Derek's job, is it posted now? Or is
No, sometime this spring, probably.
Okay.
Stephanie's taken on additional duties to get us from where we are now, to the end of the year. So
Okay.
sometime this spring. Look for a transportation director.
I'd like to give a shout out to over almost 70% of the students at Orofino. with A and B grades and over 60% Timberline. So way to go, students, right? Paying attention, doing their homework. It's awesome. And I was kind of curious on the lower end of the spectrum in our PLC communities. Are we having conversations around one of the things I remember hearing is when somebody's struggling, when some things maybe not going so right, maybe we're sharing and lifting each other up. I imagine that's happening with some of these.
Yeah, I think that the goal of the PLC process is to get to that point where we can identify if students haven't learned things yet, and then intervene. And I would say that coupled with, in my building, PDIF, their tier 2 interventions, if there's outside school factors influencing their success in school. So double-edged.
Right on. I really look forward to the end of the year summary and sort of what do we need to be thinking about for resource allocation. So I'm
The individual.
very proud of that.
Individual discussion on students and needs would be more of the RTI discussion, you know, that kind of team. Right now, the primary work with the PLCs is in those, they're building common formative assessments. And so most of their work and dialogue is about those assessments, the results of those with groups of students, and then the assessments themselves. In our last PD, everybody built at least one more CFA. So it's more
Cool.
about, that's our focus right now, is that assessment piece.
Okay. So, but the lower end of the spectrum would be part of that.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
It's not individualized as much. Of course, there's
Oh, sure.
conversation, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks like Roy has a big list. Looks like Casey is busy making sure we're all clean and sober and healthy. Any other questions, thoughts?
Nope.
Did we have any public comment, Carmen?
No.
Just have our hired public. We have a few discussion items, work release.
Ask Becca to speak to this.
I sent you a list in your email as well. I didn't realize it wasn't attached. Seems to be a theme for me today. But we did have 3 students that were recommending receive credit for their work release. So Ms. Wickard made this up that it shows they did their paperwork, they did all of the reflective essays, they got their written letter from their employer. So these students have successfully completed all of the elements. It's been interesting implementing this policy this year because we're learning a lot about how many credits our kids need. A lot of our kids have more than they need, so they don't necessarily need the actual credit. So we have a lot more students doing work release, leaving to go to work, but not necessarily needing the credit for it, which is why there's less names on here than there was prior.
We talked about that. Yeah.
And you'll note there is a junior on here who we had not approved juniors to receive credit through our policy, and that's on the policy reader for now. That student is set to do work release as well. We vetted his credits. He has more than enough, spoke to the parents. They said, hey, you know, if you make a change to the policy, great. If not, he can still work and do what he needs to do. So those 3 seniors, though, do need those credits and completed all the requirements. So I'd love to have them approved to get credit from you guys. The semester 2 list is on there as well. Miss Wickard is working on that. So it's been good. The kids are learning a lot from the reflective essays they turned in, are really interesting to read. I think they are having some accountability with it has helped them take it a little bit more seriously. And as we move into more career related senior projects, this could be a really big key piece of that, I think. So
And these juniors next year could go do it for credit then if
very easily. And like I said, we only require 46 credits to graduate. And if a student is a good student who passes all of their classes, it's very easily attainable. A lot of my seniors and juniors don't have full schedules because they are. But the good news is, like I said, we're tracking all the ones who are on work release and they are legitimately going out in the community. They just have to write a reflective essay or do anything to get actual credit for that. So any questions about that?
great.
It looks like on the semester 2, there's a sophomore on there as well. Same thing, not for credit.
Yep, not for credit. They have a first hour. So instead of doing like a study hall, they're working at a coffee shop. So it's been a good experience for her.
Sure.
She's managing it well. And that's what's part of it too. We just like to keep an eye on the ones that are doing it to make sure we're not going to take away from their education, but if it's giving them something more, I'm all for it. So watching grades, it just gives Jess a chance to check in on some of these kids.
Awesome. Is she delivering then? when she
I've
gets
seen
to
her come
school?
with a couple of copies when she gets to school in the day. Yep. I'm like, I wonder which teachers are hitting her up before 2 weeks. So I know it's been fun.
That's good.
I'm proud of us for doing this.
Me
I think
too.
it's great.
I think,
I really
yeah,
do.
I do too.
Yeah.
And we had talked about doing juniors. I think Chris brought it up when we put these procedures in place and they're new. And so I put that on the policy tracker. If you want to issue credit to a junior, that's fine. We'll just modify that. They're just procedures anyway.
I, for one, think it's appropriate.
So right now we need an action. We need a motion to accept the students that are identified here.
Yes, those 3
Or-
students. So Sarah Beard, Kennedy Coleman, and Pauline Azari, all would like their credits and have earned them. So
I'll make a motion that we accept the 3 students for the work release as presented.
Second.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion?
Great program.
We're proud of them. All those in favor?
Aye.
I,
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to the policy tracker. Thank you.
this is where you come in, Brian.
So to start with, would you look at January 1st read? And if you look at row 79, I want to make sure everybody gets their first row 79 where there's all that text.
Yeah.
So I underlined a couple key sentences there. ISBA has created new first page for each section of the policy. So there's a new page to start the 1000s, 2000s all the way through. The purpose is to help boards use policy to achieve their goals and reflect their priorities. So there's a proposed optional new document to add on to our 1000 pages where we would go through and say the things that are important to us for 1000s, 2000s, and 3000s and 4000s. And so as you scroll down, we can get into each one of those, but we might want to have a discussion about whether or not you feel the need to do that or not. They're kind of like guiding, almost like a philosophy, kind of a guiding document for each section. And so
As a summary for each section.
kind of like not necessarily a summary, but more like in the 1000s, our goals are to, or, our
Gotcha.
focus is going to be.
But not by individual policy.
No, let's look
Within
at
the
an
policy.
example. Let's look at 1000 on row 85, column B. So we would select if we wanted to add this to our policy, we would go through and select 1 through 7, which ones of these or add or delete that we wanted to
Oh,
include.
gotcha.
To me, it's kind of an exercise that probably isn't going to inform us much. When we talk about 1000s, we know what we're trying to do. We're going to go through policy by policy. But if you felt like we needed to have, some guidance for each section, we can put it in there.
My personal opinion is, we have some homework to do, and I'm sorry I didn't do anything on it since our last meeting. Several things in my personal life and work life went crazy. But I think if we we're going to be using our policy, we're going to be shaping our goals and objectives for ourselves. At that time, this might be a tool that helps us think about certain things we hadn't thought about, but I don't know that we're ready to just add a cover
That's
sheet
how I
to every
feel, too.
section
It seems like
of our policy.
a lot of work we've got our policies out there. We can actually search them, find them. We've done a lot of work
Yeah.
to just go add more work to them. I don't know.
Seems like it would be better just to have a place where we have our goals and, one place, not for every section. It just, once we develop kind of our standards, we could post those and have them. I think that is important to share, but I don't think it needs to be a part of every single section. Repeating ourselves over and over again, what we're trying to do.
It'd be hard to pick one of these 7, you know what I mean? Or and if you pick 4 or 5, I mean, then we might as well stick to our goals that we're working on anyways.
I just think we have quite a bit of homework to do before we get to a place where
So stall for now.
whether
Yeah.
that would even be something of value.
With the process that we have in place now, I feel like it really wouldn't guide the conversation. It would just be one more document that's in there that is there. We have a process, that, we're following.
Yeah, I just don't know what the value would be in it.
I don't know why they, I don't know. I wonder where it initiated from, but
I think that
Somebody did a study. Most likely.
probably the state's direction of kind of growing Phil's department. And no disrespect to him or them or anything that they're doing, but I think sort of helping maybe even them shape this overall piece for each of the major sections of the policy so they can help guide when they come in to do some facilitated training.
Yeah. I say we stall for now. Unless someone sees a reason.
if you're good with that, we can just move down the list. There's a couple we can talk about.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We don't have to make any motion, it doesn't need to be any
No.
action on that.
No.
So we go to 3516.
Let's look at 2315 in row 88. Yeah, if you open the new version of it,
No,
Have we had leadership discussion?
we have, make sure. I wrote admin teacher in there. I don't know that we actually talked about this. I think I put that in there one of who might have input. This is really basic. The issue here is the line they struck through in the first paragraph. In my 10 years, I've never assigned a credit for participating in a sport. I think in some schools or in years past, it may have happened. That was an option here. I don't think that we need that option anymore. It's antiquated and probably flies in the face of our values. And with our credit requirements, sometimes you'd see this come into play, in a school district that had 52 credit requirements. High school seniors right there, something went wrong and they want to give them an elective credit for being an athlete or something to get them to graduate. We're at the state minimum for credit requirements, so that is not
To see
necessary for
something
us.
go away. So,
You have to go to PE to get a PE credit. Is
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah,
much
you
what
have
it
to take-
says. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And getting rid of this.
my
Watching TV.
papa would really not be happy with me if I left removing such as watching TV. That's just a classic, something he always said TV shrinks your brain. So that's just, why are we removing that?
We're removing that, I believe, because kids watch YouTube now.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
It's just antiquated language.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw that and had to laugh.
I think those all.
To me, I don't think we have any issue with those
No.
minor changes. Any questions about that?
Wait, so physical activity and punishment, are we going sideways with the Challenge Academy there? I know they assign push-ups and burpees and
Is that during
Probably.
their school time as well as their,
I mean, they're there.
Yeah.
So,
True.
that is a policy.
I didn't know, part of the time they were assigned to the school district and the other part they were assigned to the,
Oh, well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know whether if they misbehave in class. Is Jim online?
It could happen.
Uh,
Yeah, and definitely has, so.
that would be my only thought there is, I know because I've heard kids brag about how many burpees they can now do.
Well, it's a good question to answer.
We aren't actually changing that part of it. That's been there. The will not, that's probably been there for a while or
From day one.
from
So
day
they
one.
added personnel and volunteers, right? Teachers
Yeah.
and other school personnel and volunteers. So
So
we're
we
just
moved to
taking
be-
out
And then
in
take
community
out
personnel.
community
So would the
personnel.
community personnel be considered the guard people is?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Mhm.
They wouldn't be.
Or are they considered somewhat institutional?
You would
Our old
think.
policy also says that we won't punish with exercise.
We asked Jim to participate.
We can. Yeah, I don't know if he's online or not.
I think I might have some input.
Do you remember?
We can put, with the exception of IDYCA.
Well, I don't know that we need to put that if we've already.
Yeah, if you don't
Well,
mind.
they
Do you
do it,
remem-
don't they?
Do you, is it a classroom
So
behavioral thing?
in some classrooms, yes.
Okay.
So that would need to be clarified, I think, and then that would probably help the process if you just say, hey, during denoted school hours, like and that's what's tricky too, is so the cadre are with the students during the school day and in the hallways. So when they transition from class to class, if they're not standing in line like they're supposed to, they will assign burpees or push-ups or different things throughout. So so I think that's it's more a point of clarification and just saying like during these explicit times due to policy, you can or can't. But
And
yes.
we would never do it
But
in
is
any other schools.
I had like
I'm old
former
school,
academy
like,
kids come back and be like, I'll do push-ups, Miss Kay. And I'm like, but no, I wouldn't, that wouldn't happen at Orofino High
It
School.
would in cases where, not as necessarily as a punishment, but oftentimes you might have a student that, you have run some laps or something to burn off some energy. That's
Right.
pretty frequent. It's a.
Okay, so not as a
break
punishment, but as
exercise,
a-
but we're not holding, doing 100 push-ups for.
So, what if the word punishment is the word that we change? So we don't use it as. Because it is, I mean, it is a consequence, right? And a consequence could be interpreted as a punishment.
So as long as our teachers at IDYCA are not using this form of punishment,
then we're good.
we're fine as is.
Then we would get rid of, or other school personnel and volunteers, as well as the community personnel.
They're not school personnel or volunteers under our district policy. So cadre, anybody else that works up there, they're not school personnel or other volunteers.
Teachers at other schools.
We only govern our staff.
But are the teachers also assigning it in those classrooms where that happens?
They could, that's what.
Yeah,
I'm
but we
saying. We
only
would have to
supervise
just
the principal.
But
not-
don't they have
Sure.
cadres
Right.
overwatching
Everything
even
else
during
is on-
class time?
They're separate.
My understanding is
Or they're-
I don't know if they like watch them on a screen. Do you know, Rebecca? So when the kids are in class at the academy.
Yeah,
the
Corey and I were actually
there's
just
cadres
chatting about that.
cadres watching, right?
Yeah, and often cadre sub for teachers when they're gone, instead of getting a sub from the outside. So that would maybe be a point of clarification as well. The hallway logistics is an interesting one because it's during the school day, but they're not school district employees. So
Yeah, just the admin falls under our blanket, correct?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
so like
Teachers,
gym and then
principal,
teachers,
or-
but I don't know how
Up
what
at
it
the
looks like
college
in
academy?
classroom and
I thought
subbing
the
and
Teachers didn't.
what that.
Teachers,
Yeah.
the teachers do.
Oh,
So that's
You're
where it
wrong.
is. That's right.
information.
So I'd like, it's a first read.
Yep.
I'd like to get input from Jim.
Yeah, and I think the safest route is to just exclude them.
And that is a way.
It's a different setup. It
It's a
really
different
is.
program
Yeah.
altogether than
For
public
sure.
school.
I will do that.
Publicly funded, but
Mhm.
certainly goes off of a different.
Well, I mean, it's part of the benefit for the
Absolutely.
teaching, the institution is that they're well behaved.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Or they're tired and sore.
But
And their staff operate under a whole different set of rules.
Right.
Under the guard than we do. So
But they do fall under our policy.
Just, yeah, the,
no,
no, just the
The
teachers.
teachers up
The
there?
our teachers do.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm talking
That's what I
about
meant.
Padre, any other support staff that we don't employ.
Okay, so fix that one for next time.
Okay.
Or at least get some more
The
information.
next one is 3070. It's a required update to an optional policy. That's row 91. And they're just, it says they consulted their attorney or the attorney and are updating the language. Instead of mandating that parents are going to be notified, it's referring to the policy that says what age, parents are to be notified and when
18, we don't have
students
to.
are, yeah.
So we can give an 18-year-old a Band-Aid.
And we can suspend them without telling their parents
Mhm.
or expulsion.
Questions, comments about that one?
Oh, I got a bunch, but I'm gonna hold them.
On that 18-year-old one?
Yeah. Yeah,
You want me to open
I
up the
need to-
policy that it references?
no, I do. I read it. I lived through part of that.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
Once upon a time.
3,500, yes. So that's a good thing.
3500 F.
F, you said?
F, yeah, and row 92. Row 92.
We're into a different policy now. Is that it?
Yeah, they modified it. They put in here where this is the new form we did our own form in response to the Band-Aid issue that Chris
Oh,
mentioned.
yep.
This is their form. And then it allows a parent to designate another emergency contact that can make these decisions. It says
Is it-
in, go ahead.
Excuse me, is it easier to adopt this or modify ours? Do we
I would-
need that?
I would just adopt the one that they're providing us. So the main thing here is they removed the dyslexia screener from the list. And then those optional fields for parent contact.
Was that removed because it was perceived as some sort of discrimination, or
No,
is it a level of comprehension, understanding ability?
think back.
Cody, do you know?
See the sentence where it
policy?
says this is because it appears to not fall within the scope of these requirements by Idaho law. So they've just reviewed this as they probably after the Attorney General's letter about Band-Aids.
Mhm.
They've reviewed everything and they're saying dyslexia does not fall into these health categories that we would
Ah,
need
Okay.
parent permission
Oh,
to
that makes
That-
sense.
Okay,
assess for.
so,
It's
okay,
more
yeah.
educational than.
Mhm. And
The
it
next
looks like
one.
Casey looked at it and
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay, 3516 row 93 is the next one, 3516. Casey and I have been talking about this one. This is a policy, it's a new optional policy that allows districts to stock epinephrine. In the event that a student who hasn't been prescribed epinephrine because they're known allergic, we could administer it. We don't currently stock epinephrine. Some districts do.
What's the expiration time? What's the
I think those are
half-life? What's the
6
half-life?
months or a year, aren't they, those pins?
I think they might be a little bit
Are
longer.
they a little
than
longer than
that. I
that?
think they could, I think they are.
I don't think I got a couple of friends and a couple people that
Probably
work keep
different.
them, but
Yeah.
they end up keeping them after it expires, but I think they expire like within a year or something.
Yeah,
Not
a
very
year
long.
sounds about right.
Have we had any incidents where we would have needed it or? within the
Each
district?
building has some
Oh.
that either are expired or belong to other students. You know, in the event of a life-threatening injury, you would probably just use your judgment and, you know, rely on the Good Samaritan law. But we don't stock them. So if we wanted to officially have our own, this is the policy we would put in place to do that. We'd also have to have a doctor sign off on basically prescribing the district a certain number of them.
What does Casey think? Should we do it?
We both were kind of, I had written in here, recommendation is to stay with the current practice. Then she had said, well, she'd check with a couple of districts that were doing it, and then she was gonna ask the hospital, I think, if they would support it or not. So I guess by the next time I can have that answer and, you know, we can see.
You know, it's a unique prescription to a person.
Right.
And although we have Casey, we're not healthcare professionals.
Is the dosage different based on your?
I don't know. I don't,
Not really.
fortunately.
No.
No, it's
Okay.
all the same. We've at work, we had to borrow someone got stung and her throat was swelling up, and before the ambulance could get there and one shot it, she was good, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But
It says, according to Google, they're good for 12 to 18 months.
that'd be the hardest part is because you're constantly gonna have to.
That's what I'm wondering. Yeah, so then you have to manage that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's kind of why we were saying that
Mhm.
maybe for now we should stay with our current practice, but
Unless Casey comes back and strong about it and says the hospital don't support us, then it's really gonna be hard to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. they
Cause
give
you would think a kid would have it.
Well, I think a lot of them
Mhm.
don't know though. So I hear the stories like.
yeah, the ones that we know about, you know, most of them
Yeah.
will have an EpiPen at school.
Yeah.
And we take it on field trips, et cetera.
Yep.
But you know, if a kid has an anaphylactic reaction, it's the first time.
Yeah, that's the ones that. But yeah, it's
Have we had any?
I have not my time.
Yes, but they were students that we knew. Well, I will say, we have had some situations where parents sometimes supply them. And the student has a known allergy, and we find ourselves sending a student on a field trip without an EpiPen because we don't have one to send with them. There is that element, like, it's really parent responsibility, but also.
it's scary when it happens.
I don't know. I don't know what the harm would be in having a few in each building. Personally, just for that case, I mean. Be more concerned with how the parent reacts, us administering than anything. But to Jace's point, if there's a kid that's going into anaphylactic shock, I think
We can use-
everybody would be
Yeah.
pretty happy.
And all your first
end of it, you know.
responders and first, I mean, they teach you to use them. They say,
Yeah.
don't worry about prescriptions if you have one and you know,
Yeah, but I don't, it's a good question.
let's wait and see what Casey comes back with.
Next one is 4105. We adopted not long ago public participation in board meetings. This is just a revision of that. which is a little more friendly. If you recall, they were really emphasizing or only speaking to agenda items, and it was, it seemed pretty kind of terse. As you can see in 95C, it says it was restricting public comment was defined too narrowly. So if you look in that policy, members of the district community, so they are talking about, they continue to emphasize that,
Be here.
yeah, they need to be part of our district.
Yep. I like that.
It's encouraging. You can see the rest is just. We would need to fill in towards the bottom how long public comment would be allotted for.
It's been 3
And-
minutes.
Yep, and then a total. Like, what does our old policy say? An hour total and 3 minutes each, or
That sounds right.
find it.
That sounds right.
Carmen, do we need to modify our form any to align with this?
I don't know.
Yeah, it says 1 hour
1 hour, yeah.
and 3 minutes.
Our form, I don't think puts on there any time limit, other than the little verbiage says you'll have up to 3 minutes.
Okay, so it does. Say 3
Yeah.
minutes.
You can see that they can provide.
They can do writing.
written.
Name, address, phone number, other materials.
And that one looks good to me.
Yeah, I think just stick with what we've been doing. Fill in the blanks with the.
For written materials, is there a time frame at which they need to get that to us so that we can digest what they're?
We're speaking public comments, that the form has to be turned in before you call the meeting to order.
Right. So it would be the same.
Mhm.
Do we want to note that?
It just says after how much time they have, it says the speaker can supplement their comments with additional information provided in writing if they wish. To me, they can provide writing to go with it or not.
Okay, so
If
it's
they
not a
run out of
standalone-
time, they
Yeah.
can provide
And then they can.
additional
provide-
information.
So it's not a standalone written comment.
It does say that written comments, and then we have to fill in a
Right.
copy of the materials that meet requirements will be forwarded to the trustees if received by time and day. So in
Yeah.
order to
Yeah.
ensure that it goes to all board members, it has to be submitted by a certain time.
That's what I
Right.
meant. That's what I was looking at.
And let me see.
So we would want to identify that as by 6:15 PM on the day of regularly scheduled board meeting.
I would think you'd want it ahead of time.
That's, I'm thinking that's too close.
Yeah, because this is saying that all written comments must be submitted to the board clerk.
In our current policy, it says by noon, the Wednesday preceding the board.
Okay, let's use that.
Let's keep-
So really, we would just be, what they're presenting to us is the green and red changes, which are minor. But there's some intent to make it a little more friendly and clear. Talks about supplementing, and then we would fill in the number of minutes and lengths to reflect what we already have in policy.
Do we want to make note in here, though, that written comments are only to supplement what they're willing to come and visit with us in person, or do we want to accept written comments across the board?
I think we have to accept.
I wouldn't have a problem accepting them across the board.
Just a
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, I think that,
I don't think we can turn away anything written. I mean, if somebody submits something, I think that, and they submit it to the board, I don't think we can not.
It has to be something that's on, an issue that's on the agenda, right?
And that's an efficient way, for
Yeah.
people to communicate with the board is to send a letter.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm just wondering about process, procedural.
And working, stick with it on the timing, I think.
Yeah, let's use the same timing. See if we get any written comments about the policy.
Mhm.
8705.
Yeah, let's go down to 187.05.
Ooh, there's a lot going on about artificial intelligence these days, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Said that out loud.
Becca, when you and I talked about this, I feel I don't want to speak, misspeak, but I feel like what we were talking about was that we probably should just wait. Isn't that what we talked about when we were looking at because there's a bunch of stuff in here about teachers using AI and it was kind of getting narrow and okay, I just want to make sure I was on the right track. So as you can see in 8705, they're trying to get ahead because districts
Sure.
are asking about, use of it. We feel like we have rules in place for students and how to behave and academic honesty, things like that. This goes fairly deep. And I just worry as we figure out AI and how it's used that we create issues that we don't need to. It's an optional policy at this point, but it gets pretty specific.
Does our other policies that address plagiarism and things cover, would it be, even though AI is not specifically called out, would be covered in that?
I believe so. Yeah. It's clearly, if it's being used in a way that takes responsibility for someone else's work,
Okay.
just we have a lot to learn about the best uses of this type of technology.
Are AI sites blocked with our internet, right? Or can teachers use some AI sites?
Yeah.
They can use.
Well, didn't you use AI to start the survey?
Oh yeah, all the
Yeah,
time.
that's what I
Mhm.
thought.
We're all using it all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, I use it and I love it for a lot of things.
Russell had to tell me that I probably shouldn't use the word delighted because it didn't sound like me.
Yeah, copy and paste directly from AI, probably not the best, but
Delighted to announce.
It was suggested to me that on this massive grant writing work that I'm doing personally, that I consider AI as a tool. I'm like, these are my words, my name, my words. I'm not ready for
Not ready to
that.
say
I'm
it.
old.
Yeah, I'm not there either.
I've seen a couple of disasters. Okay,
I think we're just early in
Yeah.
the utilization of AI to where putting in a fairly restrictive policy would be kind of cumbersome.
I see it's very restrictive,
I agree.
but maybe taking a look at our other policies around plagiarism and see if there's a way to beef that up. Or to at least encourage awareness that plagiarizing from AI is plagiarizing.
On row 104, that's
Or
regarding
90.
what we talked about earlier about juniors. We don't have to look at those procedures unless you want to. The question is, do we want to add juniors to that or not? It currently says seniors. And you have to go into the policy and go to page 490.
I think it would be good to include juniors if they're on track with their credits and
Yeah.
it's.
Yeah. I think sophomore's a little early.
Yeah, I agree.
This would be upperclassmen.
Mhm.
And the last one there, 5401, Farah went through, well, first of all, Farah, while working on sick leave bank work, discovered that our negotiated agreement is quite a bit different than what we had in policy in all of our versions of policy. So she's cleaned up this policy. If you open 5401, which is 106B, you can see her edits, and it's all what you read here is in alignment with our negotiated agreement now.
Good job there.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's done a nice job, and it's very thorough. She's also working on all of the policies that are in it, that are referenced in the negotiated agreement, and I asked her to present at some point in the future one document that has the changes, not every policy, but the changes, you know, the inconsistencies between the two, so that we could blanketly approve those to be so the negotiated agreement is correct. We have to,
Aligned.
yeah, we have to
Aligned.
abide by it. We've
Mhm.
agreed to, so
Mhm.
it's just that we haven't over the years updated our policy properly, or, you know, maybe we've adopted an ISBA policy that didn't align with our local agreement. We didn't realize it. But
Well, that
this
was-
one is just the,
Yeah, and that was one of the things that we pledged to do with/for them, is to make sure that we had policy alignment. So this is
Yep.
great.
this it is.
Any teachers in the room?
So thanks to
Cool.
Farrah for doing that.
Thank you.
Yes, very good.
Okay, well, that
And that's
wasn't
it for
painful.
first read.
Well, that was many.
Not too bad.
Since we didn't
Action
do the
calls.
one through,
Oh, we don't have any,
let's look
Do we
at
have
second read.
I didn't see any second
Yeah,
reads.
There's a few.
Okay. So you're gonna close this.
4210. Oh, so if you get into second read, it's row 69.
Nothing attached to it.
And that's one that we just have to review, which we already did. There's no changes being made. It's just an annual review requirement. And then we did, if you recall, update all of these forms about facility use. We went through last time. Updated the prices, cleaned up the language, much more consistent. That's all this
That's
is.
good.
Brittany helped with this one a lot.
And those are all related, right?
Yeah.
That's what-
It's all part of 4210. There's a policy, then a procedure, and then two forms.
Cool.
I think it'll be much more consistent, uniform. Questions on that one?
That's good.
Good.
So that would be a second read, so that would be one that we could approve tonight if we wanted to. If there are reservations, we can do it another time or review it a third time.
And remind me, Carmen, do we need to identify the specific policy number in the motion, or do we just move to approve the second reads?
I don't think so. I think you could say as presented.
In this
Unless,
case,
yeah,
in this
Right.
case, it's all of them. Sometimes
Right.
it's not all of
Right,
them,
yeah.
but in this case it is.
That's what I thought. Because that's it, right?
Right.
And we are there. Action on policy.
Make a motion that we accept the policy of the second reads as presented
I'll
for
second that.
January.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you. New hires and separations?
Make a motion to approve the new hires and separations as presented.
I'll second.
I was really glad to see this substitute bus drivers
Yeah.
that we have. And I did speak to someone who lives in Julietta. It's been pestering, calling me a lot about updates for the ski hill, and had lost his job at the winery that's no longer in existence. And he has in the past driven a bus. So I'm hoping, and I pledged Stephanie to get him the information. So don't let me forget to leave tonight without how to get a hold of you specifically. So that was exciting. My first recruitment, bus driver.
I love to see Derek still gonna sub for.
Yeah.
That's what I wasn't gonna mention any names, but yeah, it's great.
He did today.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, motion to approve new hires and separations.
We did it.
I think
Give me a second.
Oh, I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
We had discussion.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Hi.
Aye.
Got carried away in my own little mind. Okay, my understanding is we do have an executive session issue, so if we could get a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn the executive session per Idaho Code 74-2061 A and B.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Roll call.
Roll call, thank you.
Trustee McIntosh,
Yes.
trustee Kepke,
Yes.
trustee Daniels,
Yes.
trustee Craig,
Yes.
trustee Saint Germain.
Yes.
Yeah, right here.
So February is. And that's in the facilities? Okay.
It says
Strategic.
strategic plan, safety slash facilities.
And all the grants are my projects are due Friday, so I'll have time to get back on our goals and big picture plan stuff.
Action from executive session, is that where we're at?
Mhm.
Yep.
On number 12.
There are none.
No.
So we have no action from executive. We need to get
Oh.
back in section. Okay. So I can't remember. Do we do something special to come back in session or just come back in session?
No, we already, I don't think so.
No,
Yeah.
To just say
Yeah,
you're back
we're here.
in.
back
Yeah,
in.
so we're back in regular session and we have no actions from executive.
Perfect.
Okay. Any member input for future agenda items?
No, I think.
Is anybody going to the Day on the Hill?
I plan on it.
I'll be down there. I'll be able to attend a little bit of it. I'm there all week.
Okay, I
For
was
other stuff.
hoping others could do that.
I'll text you, Jason. Maybe do dinner one night.
Sweet. What week, when is that?
Thank you. 17th and 18th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's great. I was hoping that, I actually thought Taylor, with your interest, seemingly interest on legislative issues, might be something that you're interested in.
Yeah, I can't, I have too much stuff coming up that I'll be gone for, so I can't go.
I'll be down there on the 19th for the superintendent network also.
The state had a chairs meeting, but they gave like 2 days notice and that just doesn't work for me. So I asked him, I said, do you have regular, can you schedule something regular? And they're working on that. So
Nice.
I said, send a doodle poll or something and we'll respond so we can participate, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's not unreasonable to have at least a couple of weeks notice. I
Would
mean,
think.
yeah, can't be unreasonable.
Yeah, not days. Okay, so nothing special in addition
Work
to the
session.
norm? Yep, so February work session and it's at the senior high school, correct?
Yep.
Nope, junior senior.
Yep.
Yep, junior senior high school. So we'll start
Carmen,
at,
I do want to figure
On
out
the
a time to
17th.
get with you on the nutrition and wellness committee
Mhm.
that gets some, that's just.
got changed to the 21st, 24th.
The 24th is the
Figure
next
that
week.
out.
24th, changed
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
Changed it from the 17th, okay. Good.
Okay,
We good?
I think so. Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. That's a record.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not bad.